Hi, it's John here from Crafts by John UK. Today's card is this cute, gay, happy anniversary card. You can see the background, it's got a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple fade, and that's been done through a very fine stencil, which is a, let me just check, it is a sweet poppy stencil, which I bought at a craft fair in February and haven't actually used yet, so I wanted to have a play. And then what I've done, I've stamped over the top of that using an unbranded stamp, which has just got all these different love messages in little quadrants, and then I've coloured one little heart in each of those quadrants in red just to give it a bit more interest. If you want to see how I do it, stay tuned. So let's get started. I've got myself here a 12 by 17 piece of basic card. This is about, I think, 150 GSM. It's not particularly heavy. Don't need that for today's project. So we're going to be playing with this Sweet Poppy stencil. It's one that I bought at a fair in February and I've never actually used it. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this works out. I'm going to try and stencil through it with smoothies, the little sponge dabbers. I don't quite know if it's going to work, so this will be a bit of an interesting play. Okay, and there you can see it's just a fine mesh, so excuse me. Right, let me just grab my smoothies, actually, which are here. So I've got my tub of smoothies in all different colours, and I've got here all of my different inks. So I'm using candied apple, spiced marmalade, squeezed lemonade, twisted citron, mermaid lagoon, and wilted violet. And these are the Ranger Distress Oxides. So these are particularly wet. They're a little bit wetter than the Distress inks. So I'm going to use the oxides because I'm just thinking I figure a better chance of getting the ink through the little mesh with a wetter ink. So I'm now going to pick a sponge in each of the colours. I tend to keep my sponges in a messy state, but hey, they still work. Excuse me coughing, but I have got a bit of a cough at the moment. Right, okay, let's have a go at this. So we're gonna sponge through that stencil and create the background effect with this mesh, and then on top of that I'm just going to use this very simple I love you stamp on top, and I'm thinking to emboss this in white. So I've got some, oh no, gold, sorry. I've got some wow metallic gold rich superfine, so that I can pick up all the details in this stamp. This is, I bought this from, I don't know, Temu or AliExpress. It's unbranded, I don't know whose stamp it is, but it's quite interesting. It's got just lots of love, different love things on it, so it could be useful for a generic card. So that's the stamp we're going to use. So I'm thinking rainbow coloured background. This could be an LGBTQI plus type card, a rainbow fade across the background, and then the gold on top, and that's it. Really simple. Now I'm thinking I'd probably need to just, I'm going to stick this down because I do not want it to move, and I've got to obviously change smoothies a lot. So I'm just using this blue tape. I get this from scrapbook.com. Other people use it, like Natasha Foote, she uses it all the time in her videos. It's actually the best that I found. It's not cheap, but it really does a good job. So I definitely like it. So I'm just going to stick my project down on the back, and I'm thinking to fade diagonally, not just upright, but just diagonally. It gives a little bit more interest. When you're doing something like this, it's good to give yourself a marker. So we're working with 6 colours. So I know that I need to get the red, the orange and the yellow on that side. And then obviously on this side, the green, the blue and the purple. If you give yourself a little bit of a visual marker, that kind of helps when you're doing it. So I'm actually going to just use a bit of tape from corner to corner. Just want to make sure that I keep on track as I'm going, because when you're blending, it's quite difficult to, or quite easy to lose your way. So I will actually start with the yellow first. So grabbing my yellow, and I'm going straight in for it. Now you could do this with brushes, you could do this however you want, but I'm just going to try it with these smoothies and actually just see how that works. So I'm getting the colour right in there. And that looks to me like that is going through. Now I don't want a completely hard edge with my yellow, so I am actually going to take that off, which is proving more difficult than I would expect. There we go. And I think that has gone through. So I'm just going to now soften that edge a little bit. And then we'll blend that obviously into the green when we get there. So a bit of yellow. Right, now let's go with the orange. And obviously you can turn this because it's taped. So if you find it easier to work in a different angle, obviously move the project, don't move yourself. So I'm just going in there with the orange, going over the yellow a little bit so I can get a bit of a blend. I really don't know what effect this is going to have. My friend Jo uses this and she puts all sorts of stuff through it to sort of make projects shiny, etc. I've not used it, as I've said, so I don't really quite know what's going to come out like. This is very fine. It's a very fine mesh though, so I'm not imagining I'm getting loads of colour on there, but that could well work for the kind of project we're doing. So going in with the red, then just going back to the orange, back to the red, just kind of blending where those edges are to make sure that where they overlap we get a decent blend, and similarly with the yellow. Okay, so that's the kind of red, orange, yellow. It doesn't matter if this isn't perfect because it's that kind of card. It can be a bit messy. Right, let's go with the green. So now kind of following that line that I taped. And you know, I'm laying down colour first, then I'm going in and kind of twisting the smoothie. That way it's hopefully getting a bit more ink through the holes. I'm really wondering if at the end of this I'm going to take this off and there's just going to be no colour there at all. That would be hilarious, and it would be a really interesting video. Okay, so, but hey, we quite like playing. Remember, there are no mistakes in card making. So we're in with the blue and then just back with the green, just to try and give that a little bit of a blend where they join. Back with the blue again, just to hopefully get a blend. And then we finish off in this corner with the purple. I mean, see how quick that was. It's not a long project by any means. And let's see what this is going to turn out like. It doesn't matter if this back is a little bit rough, because that's actually all about the foreground, but I just wanted to have a play with this stencil because I've had it for, well, since February and haven't actually even taken it out of the packet. So I thought, no, long overdue. Let's get this stuff out and have a play. Right, I think I've done it. I'm not really sure quite how this is going to turn out, but when we take that off, we shall have a look and see. So I'm going to carefully take this off. Oh yeah, that's actually quite nice. Now I can see I've kind of missed some areas there. I'm wondering if I could put it back and actually do them, but I don't know that that would really work. Although I can actually see that when I put it back, it does go back in the same place. So actually I'm just going to go back over. It's the yellow and the green that I'd missed. Let's just give that a little bit more in the middle and then have another look again. Yep, I quite like that. Yep. Yep, that looks quite good. Now I've got quite a lot of bits on there, which is a bit annoying, but I can probably take those off. I don't know what's happened there. I think they're bits off the sponge. Well, anyway, all adds to the interesting look of the project. And don't forget, we are going to stencil over it anyway, or ink over it. Right, so, I mean, what we could do, we could actually go over with a bit of the main colour, but I think I quite like it like it is. So I'm actually going to leave it. Okay, so let's put those sponges away. And by keeping these in a tub like this, it also keeps them juicy. So if you only need a little hint of colour on another project, it probably would still have some colour on the actual sponge. So I'm just going to close up all my Distress Oxides. There we go. Right, now we need to give this a dry. I also need to give that stencil a clean, which I will do with my damp cloth. I quite like the stencil. I can see that I'm definitely going to get some use out of that. So let's just give that a dry. Just using my heat gun, obviously. But you can definitely see the colours and you can see the fade, which is quite good. Heat the front, heat the back. That way it stops things curling up too much. Okay, so we've got our base. Now I'm going to go over this with my anti-static pad because I've just created it with wet ink. The chances are it's going to be a little bit damp in places. By doing this, it just stops the embossing powder sticking. Another blast, and I'm going to use my stamping platform for this because I want to be sure that I can get it absolutely perfect. So I've got my stamp here and I'm just going to lay that down roughly in the middle. I'm just going to do it by eye. I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows that side, and that looks about right. There we go. Now I don't always have the greatest success when I'm using ultra clear embossed powder and ultra fine, so I'm always a bit nervous about this process, to be honest, but hey. Right, so we're going to just ink up our ink up our stamp, going over it in lots of different ways with lots of different bits of the ink pad, because undoubtedly it will be juicy in some areas and dry in the other. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight in and stamp that and give it a moment or two just to let the ink soak into the paper. Right, I can see that has taken, and then I'm just going to dump my gold fine powder on it, and then using a piece of scrap paper, which I have next to me, I'm going to shake that all around just to make sure we get the powder everywhere. And then if you're worried about it, you can always take it back on again and just do that again. I mean, it's not brilliant, I have to say. In fact, that is really not brilliant at all. I've got quite a lot here where it hasn't taken, so I think I'm going to have to probably do that again. So, in this scenario, take a brush and just brush all the powder off. Now, you can see there's a faint impression of it on the card, but we can probably get past that. So what we're going to do is put all the gold back into the pot, and we will probably change our plan slightly and do this in black instead. Okay, we are adaptable. So now we've got to kind of work out where that was. So we need to just have a look and see. I think that's further. Actually, it's in about the right place. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my anti-static bag out again and go over it again, because obviously it had all that powder on it. And then I'm going to get my black Versafine, which is slightly more reliable, and I'm going to ink in black. There we go. Let's see. I don't think that is in the right place actually, but I've kind of committed it now, so let's go with it. The good thing about doing it in black is we can actually do it more than once if we need to. See, look at that, straight away, much better. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get my clear emboss powder. We will just emboss it in clear. I'm dunking it in the powder, giving it a good shake around. So, okay, let's now heat that. And that actually looks quite nice. It would have been nice in gold, but I think actually it's more striking in black. So I'm heating this with my emboss tool, and you'll see as it starts to heat, it goes much darker. As the embossed powder sets. And then you get that lovely shiny effect. I quite like it. The kind of jagged nature of the stamp works well against the background, because you've got a very uniform, regular background. You've also got a love heart in every single box, so you could actually colour this in. And I'm thinking it might be nice to actually highlight something in each box. I'm not quite sure in what colour, but because you've got all those colours behind. But that might be quite nice actually. Pick something out with an alcohol marker in each box. There's an idea. Let's have a look at that. So that's now dry. Let's take that away. Just going to give my stamp a quick wipe. So it's not exactly what we planned, but hey, we're flexible. We can adapt, and we have. There we go. So now we've got our main image there. So we've still got our lovely colour fade, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and we've then got our stamped image on top, which looks quite nice. Right, I'm going to take out my alcohol pens. And I had a bit of a disaster. All my watercolour pens have fell out, but I've got my alcohol pens here. So I'm going to pick out probably just a red, I think. Red is probably quite a safe colour. Love hearts are usually red. And I'm thinking I'm just going to probably pick out something red in each card, in each quadrant. So maybe like just one little thing in each segment. So you can see I'm just working my way around. And it's quite nice because you can still see the colours through underneath. I'm actually going to do the big heart in this one. And obviously you could blend, you could do a darker red on the edge, a deeper red inside. But I'm just going for a simple red in each cell. Just going to go over the edges again just to make sure I've got quite a nice deep effect. I like the look of this. Actually, I'm going to colour that whole love, which will look quite nice because it's in the black. There we go. Now we have got this annoying spot here, which is going to annoy me. So we need to do something with that. I'm thinking maybe some lines with a fairly thin black pen. I've got a fine liner here, but that is very fine. That's 003. I mean, the other option is you could cut it down, I suppose, and then mount it on another piece of card, which is an option. I think that actually could be a better option. So let's cut this down. So I'm actually going to just do it by eye, but I'm going to do it level to the grid. So there's 3 there. This plan is changing left, right and centre. But that's the fun of card making. You can change your mind as you go along. So let's just cut that down, and then so we want a clear 3 on this side as well. So 1, 2, 3. See, and that gets rid of that nasty mark. There we go. So we've now got a slightly longer, taller card, but hey, that's absolutely fine. What I might do then is just trim this down a little bit, just so that it kind of evens it up a bit. And similarly at the bottom, because we have actually got a little mark there. Now the only thing, we haven't got any kind of sentiment on here, and I'm wondering if we need something that kind of just says I love you or something similar. I'm just wondering. Oh, this could be actually an anniversary card. Happy anniversary. So, heartfelt thanks. I'm here for you. Actually, heartfelt thanks would be quite good. Although it has got quite a lot of love on it. I'm thinking probably happy anniversary is safer. So I'm just going to do this quickly with a block. So I'm trusting that I'm going to get it right, which is usually a recipe for disaster. But hey, let's go for it. So I'm just going to go in. There we go. Happy anniversary. Perfect. So that was a quick decision. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dunk that in right. Just so I can emboss that as well, so that it's gloss like the rest of the project. Okay, perfect. And then I shall now take some black paper and I'm just going to mount that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that that black paper is the right size, because obviously we've messed around with the size. So we need that 12 by 17. Right, so I'm just using my cutting mat. This cutting mat helpfully does not have boxes that are centimetres, which is great. So I'm just lining it up on the grid with a tiny pencil mark so I can get it the right size. Could go and do this in my guillotine, but I want to do it all in front of you. And then again here, I'm just using the grid to get that square, and then use the lines on here. And I'm always cutting inside the pencil mark. That way I don't need to worry about it. So we're going to mount that on there. We're going to get a bit of an uneven black border because we cut it down. That's fine as long as we put it in the right place, which will be something roughly like that. What I'm going to also do is, if I can find it, my desk is such a mess. I'm going to distress these edges. So I've got a little Crafter's Companion edging tool here. I'm just going to distress those just to give it a little bit more interest. So this little tool is quite good. Just go along with it, and the teeth bite into the card and give it a kind of jagged edge. This will look quite nice against the black. You see it kind of takes just a little bit off. I usually do some areas a little bit more than others so that it's not all the same. Okay. So we're ready. Now I need to just put some double-sided on here so I can stick it down. I've got to get this in the right place, so I will use the old bunny ears technique, which just allows you to do a bit of repositioning and is quite useful. Thank you, Natasha Foote, who showed the world that technique. There we go, and I'm going to blob a bit in the middle just to hold it down. So I'm going to grab my tweezers and I'm just going to lift each corner. For those that haven't seen this before, it's quite useful. Just allowing you to reposition. You can obviously stick it down with glue. I just prefer double-sided tape, otherwise glue can go through the paper, make it bobbly. And this isn't particularly heavy card, as I said at the beginning. So let's get that the right way up. Make sure we've got a good side, and then lay it down. So just loosely lay it down. Because the four things are folded back, it allows you to jiggle it around the page, and then just using your eye, roughly line that up. That's good to me. Press down in the middle and then peel away. Pressing down as we go. So I've deliberately left a slightly larger margin at the top. There we go. And then again, we're now going to use double-sided again. And this time we're going to stick it down onto a 7x5 card blank. And this is going to be a relatively quick card. This would be ideal for a gay anniversary. So I hadn't really planned on making it an anniversary card, but I just kind of thought, I think it needs something at the bottom. So I think that has actually turned out quite nicely. So again, same technique, peel back those edges, take the one off the middle completely, and then we can jiggle that around to our heart's content. I've got my 7x5 card blank here already folded, and I'm just gonna pop that down and again give it a wiggle. Make sure it's in the right place. Take those tapes off. card is done. So we've got our nice rainbow in the background, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I think it's catching that, but you can see it for sure. And then we've got our nice stamp, and we've got a little bit of red in each. You could always add little jewels if you wanted to, or you could add more to it. But I think that's actually quite a nice card as it is, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to pop that on some ink pads there, just so you can see it, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. A very simple technique, playing with my new stencil and this stamp set, which I haven't really done much with. So hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to my channel. There's lots of videos on there showing different techniques and also card making from start to finish. But I'm also on the Etsy and Instagram and TikTok under the same handle, Crafts by John UK. If you like what you see, please subscribe and support me, and I'll continue doing the videos for you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Catch you next time.